Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen if you're new here, and if you are new here, I'm really pleased that you found us today. We have a lot of reason to celebrate where we live. We have been, our community has been under a wildfire evacuation alert that came almost to our doorstep. And we've had rain pretty consistently for the past week, and we are now in the clear. The alert was removed today. That doesn't mean that we stop looking or hope that it doesn't flare up again, but we're in really good shape at the moment. So thought I would pass that on to those of you that have been following along. It feels like fall, and I know that it's not the season any longer for a traditional salad. But I'm going to make a salad today, and I'm going to make it for dinner, and that might be a little different. It's going to be like our main meal. So I am going to today make a ramen noodle salad, and I'm going to add chicken to it to add some protein into it that'll help to keep us full longer. This is a favorite salad. You can make this in the blink of an eye. You can definitely make it without the chicken, but I'll take you through the process. So come back right after this and we'll get started. So the first things that we need for this are half a cup of sunflower seeds. Now I bought roasted sunflower seeds, but they're unsalted, and that's kind of the key because we're going to use the flavor packets out of the ramen noodles, and the flavor packets have quite a bit of salt in them, so we don't want to do that. I'm just going to scatter those on my baking sheet. We also need a half a cup of slivered almonds. Now you could use any kind of combination of nuts on here, I think. And you don't have to use nuts at all if for some reason you can't eat nuts. My husband's nuts have been restricted, so he won't be sharing this with us. But the rest of us will be able to eat it up. And then the last thing that goes on is the ramen itself. And I'm just going to take the packet and I'm going to break it up. Maybe I'll get my rolling pin. And I'm just going to break it up. Now packet number 2. Now I started with these packets, or this part of the recipe, because these things have to toast in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. And so I want them to be cooled when they go into the salad, so I'm going to start with them first. And they need to then, after they've been into the oven for 10 to 15 minutes and they're just getting a bit roasty, then they need to cool so that we don't make our salad wilty. And there we go. So these are the things that are going to go into the oven. You can mix them up, it doesn't matter, so don't fuss if it's not perfect. Okay, into the oven, 350. I'm going to set a timer because it can go so quickly. And at the 5-minute mark, I'm going to have a peek, maybe give it a stir, and the toasty flavor that you get from doing this is just so worth this extra step. Now I set the timer for 5 minutes so that at the 5-minute mark I can move everything around in the pan. Okay, while the nuts and the ramen noodles are in the oven, I'm going to get busy and I'm going to work on the main part of the dish. So actually the dressing for the salad is quite simple, and I'm going to mix it in the big bowl that I'm going to add everything to, rather than dirtying something else. But if you were going to take this out to, say, a potluck dinner, or you were making it for an event that's later, then you could make all of the salad and keep it all in one covered bowl, and then make all the dressing in a mason jar and just take it along with you. And when you arrive wherever you're taking the salad, give it a good shake and then pour it over. One of the things we found with this salad is it keeps really good. So I'm making it at about 2 o'clock for dinner tonight. And I am going to dress it, and it's going to be just great. I'll pop it in the fridge when I'm done, and it gives the crunchy noodles a chance to absorb some of the dressing, and then it's not quite so wet, but we really enjoy it just coming like freshly made as well. So we have eaten it the next day. It's a little bit soggier, but it's still good. The cabbage in this recipe holds up so well. So to get started, we need 1 tablespoon of sugar. And now I have looked at recipes besides my own, and they go to, maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons of sugar, which I don't think is necessary. And you could definitely use a sweetener in here, which I have done in the past. I just know that there's lots of people that don't like to use sweetener, but if you're worried about the sugar, you can definitely use a sweetener in it. So 1 tablespoon of sugar, and we need a 1/2 teaspoon, so I can figure out what I did with the teaspoon. A 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Again, I'm not adding salt to this because we're going to use the 2 packets of the soup base that comes with the ramen noodles. And of course the soup base has like a chicken stock base, so it definitely adds to the flavor of the soup. And number 2 in, I need 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. You could use rice wine vinegar if that's all you have. I use the white vinegar, and I'm trying to be really careful that I don't overdo it. It's easy when you're pouring directly over something, which I know I preach sometimes not to do that, rather to pour it off to the side. That's what I should be doing. So, one of those things, do as I say, not as I do. And I need a 1/2 cup of oil. I'm using olive oil. Oh, there goes the 5-minute mark. I'm going to go stir those. Okay, all stirred. I set the timer for another 5 minutes. That'll give it 10 minutes, which I think is enough. And that's a 1/2 cup of oil. There we go. Those are all the ingredients that we need for the dressing. I'm just going to whisk this up, and I'm going to whisk it pretty good because it does have the sugar in it, which needs to be dissolved, as well as some of the crystals that are in the soup base. But there's vinegar in there, so it should break it down pretty quickly. Today, for the first time, I'm using a microphone, so I hope this is going to be okay. Maybe I need to adjust it a little bit, but I'm trying to make the audio a little better on my videos. Now I'm probably going to stir this for a couple of minutes. Now we're going to get to work on the main part of this salad. This is a coleslaw, or it should be a coleslaw mix. You can totally skip this step by just buying a 16-ounce bag of coleslaw mix at the store. But wouldn't you know it, when I went in there yesterday to pick up everything for this recipe today, there was not one single bag of coleslaw mix. So I'm going to be using cabbage, which is good because I've had this cabbage in my fridge for a while. And the other thing that I found kind of funny was it says in my recipe 16 ounces, which is the size of a bag of coleslaw, but nowhere could I find the equivalent number of cups that I would need to cut up. And then I realized that when I pick up this cabbage that's been in the fridge for a while, and then I pick up this one fresh from the store, they would both be around the same size. This one is far lighter, and it's because it has been in the fridge for a long time. So there's no real good way to say how many cups of cabbage we need, and I'm going to cut this quite finely because nobody wants like a huge chunk of cabbage in their salad. So my best guess is that I need about 6 cups of grated cabbage, or not grated, but shredded, sliced up really finely. And I've got a measuring cup over here that will hold 8 cups plus. And so I am just going to pack the cup up to the 6 or 7 cup line. I think that probably 6 is plenty. And I'm going to use more green cabbage than I am red, but I do love to add the red cabbage because it's so colorful. Oh, there is my next check on the things that are in the oven. That was perfect timing. I don't know if you can see the difference. That's warm. I don't know if you can see the difference, but I certainly can. That the noodles have started to toast up, and the almonds have definitely changed color. And I can smell the sunflower seeds now. So this is definitely a step you shouldn't skip. Now I need to cool them. Now it can definitely take some time to cool these down. In the meantime, I'm going to work on the cabbage, but I feel like I'm going to have to stop the video and let those cool to room temperature before I proceed. But in the meantime, I have things to do, so I will continue on with this. Okay, so according to this, we're at about the 5 cup mark. And again, as I said, I'm only guessing, but it's also a lot harder to cut through this fresh cabbage than it was the one that was in the fridge. Now the reason, I don't think I explained that, the reason that the one in the fridge is lighter, because it's been in there about a month, is because our refrigerators today are meant not to build up ice inside. And so they tend to take the humidity out of food, making it lighter. And the cabbage has been in there long enough that it has definitely lost some of its moisture. Now, not only do we happen to love this, I don't know whether you want to call it a red cabbage or a purple cabbage. It looks purple, but when you look at your grocery receipt, it says red cabbage. So whatever you're most comfortable with. I am going to stop. I'm going to add this to the mix. I'm going to have a look. It says I'm at the 6 cup mark. And so I'm going to say I'm done with my cabbages. And the last thing that I'm going to work on is a carrot, because I love fresh carrots. Now these aren't fresh from my garden yet, although I'm sure if I had taken the time to go out, I have carrots big enough to do this, but I want to use up these ones that have been in the fridge for a bit. I only need 1, and that doesn't take too much. I'm going to cut this kind of wilty end off, and I'm going to cut the top off and get rid of these bits. I've got a bowl over here for compost. And I'm just going to get my grater. I'm going to grate on the big setting. And I'm going to be mindful. I have grated my fingers more time than I care to count. So I'm going to try really hard today not to do that, which means that sometimes I have to stop. And you don't need to like press super hard on this. Grating, I think that's where we all get injured is when we are just pressing so hard, like it'll make a difference. But these blades on these graters are sharp. We just need to keep up a consistent pressure, and we'll avoid getting cut, and we'll avoid any other problems too. Okay, I'm going to say that's good. Looks like my grater's falling apart here. I like this one with the rubber thing on the bottom because it helps to hold it on the board. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put that back there. I can still feel the heat coming off that pan, so I know it's going to be a little bit. Okay, that can go in there. And I am going to, now, maybe I'll just wait because I'll put the onions in too. I've got 3 green onions. I have taken the root end off. I'm just going to take the top sections off. And I am going to cut these onions up. And you can make these as fine or as fat as you like. I use the white and the green part of the onion because they each have flavor, and it's a different flavor. So they are perfect for something like this, where you're just trying to add a bunch of different flavors to a dish. There we go. And I'm going to add that into the measuring cup as well with the greens. And the next thing on my list, because I am going to add chicken to this, is I bought a rotisserie chicken. You could use leftover chicken. You could fry up your own chicken. I'm going to use the breast off of this rotisserie chicken. I'm going to remove the skin as I go. This isn't a very pretty process, but I'm sure you've all been there before. I'm going to take the strings off, which gives me better access to the bird. The thighs and legs will go into tinfoil containers for my hubby's lunch. Those of you that have been around a while know that my husband is a long distance truck driver, so we make meals for him in little tinfoil containers, and he has an oven in his truck that he can reheat things. So some of these recipes that I'm making, I make almost exclusively for tinfoil containers that we put in the freezer, and then he takes them out as he needs them for his various lunches and dinners, so that he's still having home cooked food while he's on the road. I'm not keeping this part. I'm going to take the 2 breasts off this bird. Maybe I'll get a bigger knife. And then the rest I'll set aside, and I'll get into foil containers. This, you could definitely use all parts of the bird. Like if you were feeding more people and you wanted to use the thigh meat and the leg meat, you could definitely do that. There's a red vein in this piece of chicken that I'm not really thrilled about, so I'm going to cut that out of there. I don't want to serve that to my family. Oh, it's over on the other little bit too. Now, I'm just going to chop these up. I don't know, you've maybe had a salad like this one before. And let me tell you, if you don't add the chicken and you use a coleslaw mix, it can go really fast. But I think it's worth the extra steps that we're taking right now to add more flavor, more protein, so that we can use it for a full meal rather than just as a side salad. It makes it a lot more versatile, and gives us so many different options. So I'm just going to throw this in there too. If you find any of the pieces are too big, you can just break them up by hand, because by now I'm covered. I'm not sure how I managed to do it, but it seems like every time I work with a rotisserie chicken, I end up with gunk all over my hands. But I love the flavor that the rotisserie chicken gives. So, there we go. Now I'm not going to dump this into there until this has cooled down enough to use. So I'm going to stop right here, and I will be back as soon as that's cool, and we'll put this all together. In the meantime, I'll do a little bit of cleanup, and I'll see you soon. Okay, we're down to the last of it. And I think I need something different than this. I'll just give this one last whisk. And I don't feel any sugar granules in the bottom of that anymore. So let's try a wooden spoon. So, not sure this bowl is big enough. Should have got the big one out, but this one's glass, so you can see through it and see what's going on. Now I can add this in here because it's all cooled. And there we go. Goodness, I love this salad so much. And while it may be the end of summer and it's maybe not the right season to have a salad, I feel like the cabbage is something we have in the fall and in the winter time. And so this may be like an end of summer salad, and we definitely eat this salad in the winter time because it's very hearty with the addition of the noodles and the chicken. And so it's, you may be able to see it now. It takes a little bit to mix it all through, and some would think that it would be easier to keep the dressing separate rather than putting it in the bottom of the bowl. And all I was doing here was saving dishes. It just takes a little bit longer to mix everything. Okay, and there we go. I am very, very happy with that. Oh, I can smell it, it's so good. Now, I've got my taste testers here. My niece and her two friends are here. And so this is what we are going to eat. And I know it's something that we'll enjoy. So let me get a plate and I'll show you what this looks like. There we go. Let's get this a little closer to the action here. I'm going to scoop this out. I could have done this a little more dainty, I'm sure, by getting out the salad utensils. And let me wash my hands. And there you go. It is a wonderful, delicious, I can't even say enough good things about it, I'm sure. So this is a ramen noodle salad that is good at any time of the year, but particularly good right now in the fall when the cabbage is fresh. Or you can use all the shortcuts we talked about and make this in a lot less time. But I'm glad that I was able to show you the long way. It makes the short way seem a lot easier, I think. Anyway, folks, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and that if you have, you will subscribe if you haven't already, that you will consider giving it a like and commenting and sending this video off to your friends on your social media. That would be fantastic. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.